to a little earlier in the month of December is Chartback Retro Month, where we have to take a retrospective analysis of the year 2018. And I've been having different guests on on this platform coming through. And today I'm privileged to host the United Prosperous and Peaceful Zambia UPPZ President Charles Chanda. Welcome back to the program, Mr. Chanda.
Thank you, Mr. Lorenzo, for inviting us once again, and thanks to all the listeners of Radio Christian Voice.
Excellent.
And Merry Christmas.
And Merry Christmas to you too.
Exactly.
We're truly grateful. All right. Now, the opposition political parties are here to offer checks and balances to the party in government. And UPPZ forms part of the opposition political parties that are offering checks and balances in Zambian politics and in the governance system of this country. So it is imperative that we discuss from that point of view on this particular program. Those of you that have questions for him, please send them forward to 0960 200 490 via standard text messaging. Via WhatsApp, use the same number, 0960 200 490. A little later, I'll open the line for you to call on 0960 200 490. For starters, Mr. President Chanda, as UPPZ, like I alluded to in my preamble, you are here to offer checks and balances. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate UPPZ in offering checks and balances to the ruling Patriotic Front government?
Thanks, Mr. Lorenzo, for such an enlightening program. Now, of course, we all understand that we are not in parliament.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pleased to inform the public that despite not being in parliament, we have done extremely well in various areas. And I think one of the reasons why we have been a source of checks and balances has been that, have been on TV for the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
It has never happened in the history of this country since 1964 that a politician was on TV for the whole year. It's for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's coming from a party that is just 2 years. So you can imagine, we are 2 years old and 1 year on television.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been speaking, and what we have looked at is, look at this country. You have the most vulnerable. You have people with various disabilities. You have the poor. You have the illiterate. I mean, these who have been disadvantaged academically. And they have no source of voice. They have no one to speak for them. And so we have picked up such people in society and started speaking on their behalf. We've got civil servants. Are you aware, Mr. Lawrence, that there are civil servants that have been working for over 20 years and they have never owned land in this country, despite having a monthly salary? Because land is something in this country that, for a civil servant, you can't even buy land straight. Even to get land, they will advertise plots. But for you to get on that list, it has been a challenge. So we picked up such people that, look, they are voiceless. So as UPPZ, we've been a voice. And some of the issues we have brought out, somehow, they have reached the ears of the powers that be, and they have started working on some of those things. So some of the things that the Patriotic Front government is trying to push forward, it's because we have started talking on behalf of the people. So if you are to ask me 1 to 10, what will be your rating as UPPZ in terms of offering checks and balances, I'll be very comfortable to say, put us on 7.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We've tried what we can, despite not being in parliament. And I'm sure the government knows that we are saying the truth about offering checks and balances.
All right. Rating definitely consumer to the fact that you're not in parliament, as you said. Probably it could have been higher had you been in parliament.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Now, of all political parties, I've reckoned that UPPZ seems to have the best land policy for this nation. All right. And you have a conviction of land. You're so passionate about empowering people with land. Okay. Now, over the year 2018, You've probably empowered as many as you can to this effect. Share with us your conviction and how would you probably gauge yourself in advancing or promulgating the policy of land from a UPPZ perspective.
Now, I'm sure the background I'm going to give to the public or as a response to the question will give you the reason why I am so passionate about land. I lost my dad at the age of 6. He was working for Parliament. And the week he died, we were supposed to shift. He was given a house along Great East Road. The house, everything was signed. So we were supposed to shift from Kanyama to Great East Road. And that's just near Parliament. And that was the week that he died. So we never had the opportunity to move into a better house. So we were taken to live with my grandmom in Kanyama, house number 559. I know that. I know the house number. So, and you know, that house has never changed since we left it. So my grandmother had built that house. Of course, we had people that were renting. So we were there. And when my grandmother, unfortunately, also died a year after my father's death, my mom had to sell that house. So now we were left homeless. We had to be living in a rented house. After 2 years, my mom managed to build a house in George Compound. But due to some problems, she sold the house. So we were left renting. So I have lived my whole life, basically. If you remove the 6 years, because even the 6 years, my dad was renting. So I grew up in a rented kind of a setup. And I started working. I'm 50 years, by the way. So in my 50 years, you can imagine, 50 years, I never owned land in this country. So maybe you remove 2 years, up to 48 years. I did not have a single plot in this country. This is why, if you go to the Ministry of Lands, and this is where my competitors are confused. If you go to the Ministry of Lands, never been given a plot by the government, and yet he is half his age. I am closer to my death than from my birth. I mean, let's take the Bible, say a man who lives 70 years. So
and
if
by
I'm
reason of strength 80.
Yeah, so that means I am already past half of my age, and Zambia has never given me land, and I am a Zambian. So I woke up one day, I said, but why am I a Zambian? Because Zambia, it's not the air. Zambia, it's not the trees. Zambia, it's not the president or the cadres. Zambia is land. This is why when you are crossing the borders, you are going to Zimbabwe. When you get to Chirundu, you do your passports, or at least right now, they do passports on one side. So once you cross the Zambezi River, they will tell you, Mr. Man, you are now in Zimbabwe. When you look around, you won't see Zimbabwe, but it's the land. So I said, look, I cannot be a Zambian without land. And I looked around and I saw how difficult it is in Zambia to get land. I've made this, and I think I'm going to repeat it. Zambia has a class. When it comes to giving of land, we have classified the citizens. And without fear, I am going to give you the class so that you and I will know where you are when it comes to land allocation. Because this is what has given me the passion. Now, the first on the list, the first citizen, in fact, I call them the 5-star citizen when it comes to land allocation. It's the Zambian Indians. Our friends, we've grown up with them. Our Zambian Indians, our brothers and sisters from India with Indian origin, they are the first class. An Indian, so far, before the coming in of the Chinese, an Indian could get land anywhere without any problem, at any time. They had access to the authorities. So that's number 1 on the list. Then number 2 on the list, our friends, the Chinese, have come in. And the Chinese have come on number 2 now. They are because most of the land the Chinese bought initially, they bought from the Indians. So the Indians, number one, then you have the Chinese. Then number three on the list, it's the Zambian Lebanese. I'm using Zambian because land makes you a Zambian. Even if they have not given you an NRC, if you have access to Zambia's land, you are a Zambian. So we've got Zambian Indian, Zambian Chinese, and then Zambian Lebanese. These are the people that have got prime land. Go to Kafue Road. Go and ask who has got land there. Very few Zambians. Somebody will say, but no, this land was sold by the Zambians. It was sold by the Zambians because we have the most weak land policy in the whole world. Because some countries, they protect their land. Zambia doesn't know how to protect its land. So we've got the Zambian Indians, Zambian Chinese, Zambian Lebanese. Those ones are first-class citizens. They can get land anywhere, no matter how much land they need. I have records. We have the Chinese, we gave 340,000 hectares of land in northern province. Which Zambian has ever been given that kind of land? You only give to the first-class citizens. And then, number 4 on the list, it is the Zambian politicians who are in power. That's the list. So when you are getting land, first they must give an Indian, then they give the Chinese, they give the Lebanese, then the Zambian politicians come on fourth. Now, why are they coming on fourth? Because they must first give the people that fund them in elections. Our Zambian Indians have been funding elections. It's not a secret. I even saw in 2015, I saw one of my friends, the Zambian Indian, came with, the Ukwa bag, carrying money. And I was there. So it's not something I didn't see. I was there at the house of this leader because I wanted to see him that day. And they delivered money. So they know how to get. So the politicians cannot be on top of the Indians, cannot be on top of the Chinese. And that is why it is very difficult. Can you imagine? Do you know the doctor from, you are a professor at the University of Zambia and you buy land from a cadre. These are the realities in Zambia. We have doctors, medical doctors. Ask them where they bought land. They bought land from a grade 5 cadre who cannot even spell his name. But because of being part of a political party that is number 4, he has access to land more than somebody who has been at the University of Zambia. You have a degree, you are a managing director of a company, but because you are number 5, you cannot get land. And when I looked at that list, I said, God, help me destroy this list. I want to destroy this order because the man at number 5, the ordinary citizen, the disabled, look at the illiterates, but they are Zambian citizens. These are the owners of the land. They must be number 1 because they vote the politicians. So that is what gave me the passion. And so from there, I decided to get into land business. And I buy land. When there's land, and right now, for your own information, people now are offering land to me. And why are they offering land to me? Because they know I'm not selfish. I am also a victim of this country that cannot give land to its citizens. And this is why, it motivated me to say, I need a political platform. So that one day, should God allow it, I become president, I want to elevate the Zambian citizen to become number 1. And the one on number 1 must be on number 5. You cannot deprive a Zambian you deprive a Zambian of land and you give it to an Indian or a Chinese. I'm not being racist. These people are called Indians because they have their own country called India. These people are called Chinese because they have their own country, China. God did not make a mistake. That's why even the way you look, somebody will tell that you are Zambian, you are Indian, you are Chinese. We are different. Our land are different. So why should they come and get land before you? And I'm telling the Zambians out there, if you have no land, you are not yet a Zambian. How can somebody start giving food to neighbors' children? And your own children, you tell them, no, malala olela fasting, ngabalia, I'm neighbor, you never do that. And this is why I'm saying, God, help me. I can become a better parent in Zambia that will consider the children first and then the outsiders last. That's why I want to be a president, not for myself. So this gave me the passion for land. And I'm telling you, as I sit down here, in 2 years, I have empowered over 20,000 Zambians. They are landlords. As I'm sitting here now, this is something that those of you who are listening to the radio right now, you are blessed. In Kitwe, I have released 400 plots now. And my plots are cheaper than the government. Those plots in Kitwe, in New Kitwe, 400 of them, I had to release them because our citizens in Kitwe were cheated. The council advertised plots. And what do you see? They paid money, about 750. And 2,000 people paying 750 kwacha. Do you know how much is that? 1.5 million. Government stole 1.5 million from the citizens. When it came, how is he even going to stay here? But that's what happened. He was selling his land. He was selling the land for $1.6 million. 450 hectares, $1 million. And then I offer it to the Zambian. I create plots, about 2,500 plots. And that's what I did. Those plots, I could have sold them for 120,000 each. Now think about it. How much worthy was Mr. Chanda going to be? I said, no, I must give them land. The people they vote into power, they don't care about them. They don't care about their well-being. So I decided to sell those plots for 10,000 kwacha. And they are finished. So I paid the Chinese. When I was paying the Chinese the money, I told him, give me an account number. He had no account number because he lives in China and he wanted the money in dollars. So I had the trouble. You can imagine, you are going to change $1.6 million into kwacha into 1.6. I had to change that money. And I remember when we went to give him the money, we were there counting because he had an agent here. He doesn't stay in them. And so all I'm saying is the issue of land, it touches every heart. Go read the Bible. Do you know why there are wars in the Bible? It is all about land. Why is there a fight in the Middle East? It's land. Land is not something you take lightly. That is why I'm shocked. How many of these political party presidents have taken time to talk about land? They don't talk about land. They talk about who won the elections and who didn't win, who won them illegally and who lost also illegally, or who lost illegally. So that's what they talk about. We need to reach a point where we look at the things that matter in the lives of our citizens. So that's about the issue of land. But then, before I conclude, why is Zambia in this kind of mess when it comes to the issue of land? It's because, like I mentioned earlier, we have one of the worst kind of land policy. Are you aware that a prisoner in Malaysia can buy land in Zambia whilst in prison?
Where did we get it all wrong? How did we find ourselves having one of the weakest land policies in the world? Like you've actually also observed, almost every conflict the world over will be connected to land. But I'm very much worried on our land policy. How did we end up having the weakest land policy in the whole world?
I'll tell you where it started, Lorenzo. It all started in 1991. Before, we didn't have a problem. It all started when we got into the multi-party political era. We had cadres whose main interest, these are people who didn't go to school. And when there was the hour has come, you see, they saw an opportunity of getting into power without position and start grabbing land. That's where it all started. And then when we had the MMD, they couldn't reward everybody who participated. So the people on ground, they knew that the only way we can make money, let us start getting land. And then there was no policy that we had put into place that could protect those that had land and how we could be able to allocate land to those who did not have land. So then politically, I will tell you, political influence and our lack of clear guideline on how one can possess land, became a problem. Land is the easiest source of income, especially for politicians, because all you need is be in good books with the Commissioner of Lands. And you may be surprised. Why did we keep one Commissioner of Lands more than necessary for such a long time? Because he was a weak point. He was the weakest point. He was also making money from land. So every government knew that, look, we must use this same commissioner to get land, because they were now using the same land to make money, to reward the people who were financing them in their elections. So basically, it is we politicians who have messed up on the issue of land. There is no protection for land. I've stayed in South Africa. I've spent over 20 years in South Africa. Do you know that it was very difficult for a foreigner to get land in South Africa? It's even worse now. They protect their land. Go to some of these countries, you can't just get land anyhow. But here, we are so weak because we vote into power poor people, poverty-stricken politicians who have failed in life, and they want to make it in politics. That's a problem. This is the challenge we have. You are voting people, giving them votes, and they are queuing on the queue of poverty. They want money. So it's a challenge, and we need to look at our system. What do you expect? I mean, how can you get into power? Let's say a minister who is still a tenant, renting a house. What do you expect from him? The first week, he must be at the Ministry of Lands. He must be in good books with the Commissioner of Lands. And that's why UPPZ wants to change, and there are laws that we want to bring about. And that's why I'm pleading with the public there. Give me enough MPs so that we can deal with the land policy come 2021.
All right, the number for your advance comments is 0960 200 490. A little later, I'll open the line for you to call us on 0960 200 490. All right, now in the year 2018, you participated, all right, in by-elections in Mangango, Kasenengo, Achipangali. You also participated in the Lusaka mayoral seat as well as the Chilanga. What lessons have you picked from your participation as UPPZ in these constituencies, and which one really stands out in your opinion?
I think the first one will shock the public. And that is that so far, in all the elections, have noticed that there is no political party in Zambia that wins elections normally. So that is not something you're going to debate. I've seen it. There is no political party that can come and challenge me today that they have won elections normally. There is always abnormalities. And this is why we want to push for electoral reforms. So there's no clean win. All these positions you are seeing, all these people you are seeing in power, nobody will come and challenge me today that Mr. Chanda, I won the elections clean. Never, never. Don't listen to those lies. Elections in Zambia are won through manipulation. And those of you that are in authority, you know what I'm talking about. You cannot argue with me. Those of you that are holding office, you know the manipulation that goes on. And ECZ, even the director, I'm glad I'm even near his office here. If the director at ECZ is hearing me, I am saying that elections in Zambia are won through manipulation. And we must change that. I've seen it. I'm not crying that we didn't win. I'm saying elections in Zambia are won through manipulation. And I've seen those things. Tell me, how can you justify using the office of the president to manage elections? You have 10% ECZ staff and 90% office of the president. When did the office of the president become Electoral Commission of Zambia? It doesn't make sense. So all I'm saying is that Zambian elections won through manipulation. And that is the lesson. But I'm saying we will deal with this illegality because I have evidence in my hands. And this is the reason why people have been saying, Mr. Chanda, why don't you go to court? Which court am I going to go to? In Zambia, under the current regime, I will not waste my time and money because the level of manipulation is too high. And that's what I'm saying. How can you claim that no, elections are won free and fair when some people can be denied permits to have campaigns, others are given, and then you claim that to be, to be free and fair? So the language you have been hearing from ECZ saying the elections were free and fair, that is an autopilot kind of recorded system at ECZ. They just press it. Every election, they'll tell you, this is what has happened. But I'm saying we need a change. And I can face the director's ECZ and I can tell him, I can point at him things that I have seen with my eyes that are wrong, and nobody has been talking about it. When you hear some people in this country complain that no, I lost elections, you must listen to them. Don't throw them away. Don't think they are jokers. They have a point because things are not straight and we need to correct that. Are you aware that we have a mobile, the registration of voters? Some machines were bought many years ago for mobile, registration. The ones they carry wherever they go. What I'm going to say, the people that are listening to me, they must find out all those machines, are they at ECZ? No. All those mobile machines that were bought, can ECZ today tell us that government bought 100 of those mobile registration machines? Are they at ECZ? Can we go and check them? No, they are not there. And I know where some of them are kept. Who is keeping them? And for what reason they are keeping them? That's why I'm saying that God must be thanked that UPPZ is here, because some of the information I have, we want to use it to correct the anomalies that ECZ has been using, and we say we need a change. So basically I'm saying it is good I've participated, and I want to challenge these other politicians, political parties. I might be maybe the third youngest political party in this country. Some political parties are not participating in any elections. You need to start participating. Don't wait for the general elections and you expect a miracle. It doesn't work like that. Don't expect to become president when you can't even attempt to have a parliamentary seat and you want to become president. In which country are you going to be president? Not in Zambia. You need to get involved so that you can be exposed. And then once you are exposed to some of these methods, you now want to fight it. And I want to also say, in this country, are you aware that we have a machine that prints ballot papers? And it's not at ECZ. Is ECZ aware that there's a machine in this country that prints ballot papers? The question comes in, who is using that machine? And I even know where the machine is. You can come and pick me, I'll take you where the machine is. I know where the machine is. So all I'm saying here is that there are things that are wrong and we need to correct them. People have been so silent. The politicians we have in this country are so timid. All they know is insults. It's not insults we need. Let's gather facts and use those facts to correct this country. Insults cannot make you a president. They did that. They did that. No other political party was involved. They were cadres who were changing and details were being changed. On the day of election, are you aware that 8 buses came from the Copper Belt carrying cadres? They came into Lusaka. People say, but Mr. Chanda, how do you get this information? That is why you have never heard about me. God was preparing me for this time so that some of these things might be revealed. And those of you, I'm glad I'm on Radio Christian Voice, because those of you that are following, I believe you read the Bible. There was a time Elisha was being attacked. And God revealed to Elisha the army that was coming. His eyes were opened. And I'm telling the public out there, I will have access to some things, not because I have a strong office of the president backing me. No, because I am a child of God and no secret. Like it was with Daniel, even the secrets of the kingdom are revealed so that we may correct them.
Before we catch a breather, what electoral reforms are you putting on the table to advance ahead of 2021? Since you're saying that you want to champion electoral reforms.
Thank you so much, Lorenzo, for that all important question. Number one, we want to look at the register. I'm talking about the register we have to use for elections. I'm shocked that despite having graduates in information system, we've got graduates who are unemployed. I'm shocked that ECZ has not been able to tap into this young generation with information skills technology, information system technology. We are supposed to update that register regularly. Now, right now, the register we are using is the 2016, the one that was used for 2016. Now, are you aware that we have so many people who have died from 2016, eligible voters, but they are dead, but they are still, their faces are still being printed. This is witchcraft. We must stop witchcraft, because how can you continue printing the face of my father for every by-election? ECZ, you are practicing witchcraft. You need to change. I mean, think about it. We are going to have elections, and then I am somebody who is going to be making people to verify their details. And I know my father and my mother are dead. They were registered voters. And then you employ me as somebody to check the details. And so whenever somebody comes, I must go to a page. I must see my late father. I must see my late mother. How many times? From morning until evening, because you have failed to update the registers. Why are we paying them? Why are we spending so much money on an election board that is not competent? And I'm telling you, ECZ is not competent. And in their current format, they cannot deliver free and fair elections. This is why, in the just ended election in Mangango, are you aware that we had 5 dead people who came to vote? And because I knew what happened, I knew the information. I told all our polling agents that, please, when the people come to vote with a new registration card and a new voter's card, these are the things I'm telling you, that we have people keeping machines so that during election time, they can produce new voters' cards. I want all these machines, they must be taken to ECZ. They must be taken from where they are. So one of the machines was used. In that particular ward, Namalova ward, because I know where it happened. So here came this lady, young lady, with a new voter led polling agents. So she looked at the face, says, no, you are not the one on the voters register. The records are the same. What a miracle. That is a miracle happening at ECZ. So she stopped the person from voting. Went to say, look, this person cannot vote. They went to the police officer. The police officer refused to arrest that person. Why? Because it is a manipulation. It is a cartel. They involve the police, they involve ECZ, and they involve everybody so that you advantage one political party. And that thing must come to an end. Now, it was not one person, 5 people in one polling station. What about the others? The others couldn't, because nobody gave them instructions. I had called the other political parties that, you guys come, this is the information I'm having, can we work on it? But because they were working against us, they couldn't follow. So I managed through my polling agents to get 5 people not to vote, because those people came from the grave to come and vote, because you have an ECZ that is practicing witchcraft, because the only witches can do that. So all I'm saying is we need to update the register. Now, think about it. How many Zambians have been disadvantaged from voting? From 2016, they want to vote. They lost their voters' cards. ECZ will say, no, we cannot, but they will be doing voters' cards for PF cadres. You can't do that. So we are saying ECZ must stop being a political extension. It is an extension of a political party, and we are saying no to that. They need to ensure that they practice elections with fairness, because you are dealing with the whole country. And I am prepared to face ECZ, because we need to correct this. If no other political party will do it, I will do it, because we need to bring sanity into this country. And so, one, the updating of the register. Then, when you're talking about updating, now you can imagine how many people have been disadvantaged. Then ECZ is waiting for 90 days before 2021 elections. Then they'll say, we want to do a mop-up registration. What kind of laziness is that? What are they doing right now when there are no by-elections? They must start doing that in every province. Let us update these registers. Those who are qualified to vote, give them an opportunity. Don't hinder the constitutional right of citizens. This is why we have voter apathy. We are keeping people away from voting. You need to allow the citizens to have their voice when it comes to elections. So that must be done. Apart from that, we want to ensure that the playing field is level. And ECZ is known not to practice even their own electoral code of conduct. Are you aware that according to the electoral code of conduct, there is a kind of attire you cannot wear on the day of nomination? Mm-hmm. There is a distance you are supposed to keep from where the nomination is happening. Those are the electoral code of conduct. But ECZ doesn't know. I don't know whether the people they have, maybe they need to go back to school to read, because they don't practice that. Just when we had the mayoral by-elections, are you aware that one of the political parties, the cadres, they stormed into the place? And they went there. Okay. And those are things, some of the things that we need to correct. We need to ensure that the electoral code of conduct is followed.
All right. I want you to continue on your proposed electoral reforms. When we come back on the other side, we have news at the top of the hour. You have stressed the point on leveling the playing field. Hope we pick it up from there and then look at other pertinent points, and then also read people's text messages coming through. Join us in a teeny tiny bit on Chatback. I have with me the UPPZ President, Charles Chanda, as we look at the year 2018 in retrospect from the party's perspective in providing checks and balances. Join us in a moment. Okay. Okay, so far so good. There are a lot of facts going on, eh? Year 20. What's the name?